T minus 5 minutes. T minus 4 minutes. T minus 3 minutes. T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0.
Yeah, look, black and blue lives. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lives. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, podcast lit. Yeah. I think we got a hit. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lives. Yeah. Look, we got Prince, Blue and Sgt talking black and blue lives. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lives. Yeah. It's Steppe and Blue.
Black and Blue Lives.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What is up? It is the Black and Blue Lives podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Prince Blue. That is my homie, retired Sergeant Steppe, and we got a good episode for you today. I hope everybody is doing good, and I hope everybody is prepared. So before we start, I want to do a couple housekeeping things. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Make sure you share this, because you know what's funny about this whole podcast, any podcast that's worth a damn, that talks about important issues and things of that nature. I see you arguing daily about the same things that we talk about, and you talk about it, you argue about it, and finally you have podcasts, not even just ours, but we're going to talk about ours, where you literally have two retired police officers in front of you that can answer any question you have, can break down any video you have, whether it's use of force, whether it's a law, whether it's something that you saw on social media that you don't quite understand and you need somebody to break it down to you. And we never said that we have to be in the right. It could be a video where police were totally wrong. We are always going to let you know the real facts and our real opinions. And if police is wrong, we're going to get them. If they're right, we're going to back them. So the fact that we've been doing this podcast for so long, and it's still people that are arguing back and forth and don't understand what use of force is, don't know why you can't use a taser with a knife and all this stuff, is wild to me. But that just shows me two things: either one, you willfully want to stay ignorant and be emotional and be able to just say what you want without getting any type of pushback, or two, we're not known enough yet, so we got to work on that, and we're going to start with that by just making sure that we get all our podcasts and everything, all our episodes out. So with that being said, what's up, Step?
What's up, brother? No, we had all this. So yeah, you seem a little excited when you sported your Eagles memorabilia. I guess that
Memorabilia.
Memorabilia, and I have not been drinking. So after the
You gotta watch that ER. Memorabilia.
See, that's why you're a doctor and I'm not.
It's just memorabilia. No,
yes,
but it's certain words I can't say, and it'll trip me up every time. I had a guy in in elementary, he couldn't say beautiful, so he would say brutiful. And the teacher would make him read, and if beautiful came, he'd be like brutiful, and we'd be like beautiful, beautiful. And it was just
pronunciate.
Yeah, he was at the table with the green sticker. Y'all, if y'all grew up in public school, you knew what the green sticker table meant. So
he's on the short bus on the ride home.
He used to read with his hand, but he used to read with his finger. But without further ado, let's get into it. The first one step we're going to talk about is locally here, but it's something that goes on a lot throughout the country when it comes to policing, and that's the SRO. For those who don't know, those are the school resource officers. And here in Charlotte at West Charlotte High School, we had an incident where I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Kanata Kathy got into an incident at West Charlotte High School where she was fighting another person. A police officer asked her to stop, tried to break it up. She continued to fight them, and then began to assault the police officer. And the police officer used force against her. And of course, you know, force is not pretty. So it went out, it went viral. And let's just take a look at the video, and then we'll go into we'll give you our take about it. So again, this is Kanata Kathy. I hope I'm saying it right. West Charlotte High School. Take a look.
A chaotic brawl at West Charlotte High School last week. Video shows a responding CMPD officer with a taser out pick up a girl as she's punching someone and slam her to the ground. She appears to be unconscious as he puts her hands behind her back. CMPD is now investigating the officer for possible criminal charges.
The normal reaction is that that was a lot of force to be used on a teenager.
Dr. Roy Taylor is a police procedure expert with more than 40 years of law enforcement
Step, we're going to get to him. Just relax. I know he's not your favorite, but we're going to get to him.
experience. He says the investigation will look at everything that happened during the fight, not just this one clip of video, to determine first whether a use of force was justified, then if that force was excessive.
There was other alternatives than to pick her up and throw her down. But again, that's hindsight. And we won't really know if he made a good decision until we get more information.
The girl in the video is Kanati Kathy. We spoke to her father, who says she'll take virtual classes the rest of the year as she recovers from a brain bleed and, quote, profound emotional trauma. He shared a statement that said in part the conduct of the officer involved was a gross failure of duty. We must demand immediate answers and policy changes from the CMPD. We're not asking for justice, we're demanding it. Monday was a remote learning day at West Charlotte High School. After the fight happened, the principal wrote to parents that every student deserves to feel and be safe at school. Kids will be back in class here on Wednesday following Election Day. Kanati's father says CMS leaders have been helpful and understanding in how they're supporting her academically. In Charlotte, David Schumann, Queen City News.
Queen City.
Okay. So, I hope y'all got the gist of that. Pretty much, I hope y'all saw in the beginning the officer was trying to break up the fight. She was still fighting, and then she started assaulting the officer. Then the officer slammed her to the ground, and she was unconscious. And quote unquote, the injury she had was brain bleed, and severe emotional trauma. So, there was a lot of uproar about this, how the officer used excessive force, how he could have did, as you see, Dr. Taylor, the foremost expert that a lot of people that are against police go to have police look in a bad light. He's quote unquote the other side's expert. So we're going to get into that. But Step, when you heard about it, of course I heard about it, and you know that's our former, for full disclosure, that's our former department. That's where we retired from. So not only do we have a dog in this fight, but we also know people, and we know what really happened, and we have access to stuff that y'all don't have versus what the media just shows you in short viral clips. So with that being said, Step, what was your first thought of when you heard it and when you saw the video? And we'll go from there.
Well, when I first heard it, it's from a news source, and it was blown out of proportion. And so what people don't realize is they take a 10-second video, and you have to look at the totality of everything. What's happening? You know what? This girl, and they call her a child. They like to call her a kid and child. She's 17. Right, she's actively assaulting someone else. Her and her friends are jumping another girl. She's actively assaulting, hitting, and assaulting someone else. The officer comes up behind her and grabs her. He could have tased her.
Mm-hmm.
He could have pushed her down. He could have punched her in the face. There's all these things you could do, like that. These options you could use, and he picked her up to kind of like maybe pick her up, and then she immediately she. So I've heard once and twice. She at minimum one time hits the officer in the face, and she's yelling like, "Get the fuck!" And he slams her fucking ass down. Good, that's what she fucking gets. So as far as the use of force goes, and I can't. That doctor, it's the same one from the University of South Carolina. He was a cop at some Podunk Police Department or something for a couple of years or somewhere.
Dr. Taylor.
Never been in a use of force probably, but now he loves to go criticize police, and he said something there in his interview, which he likes to say is there were other options available. It doesn't matter. I have 27 options I could use. As long as the option we use is reasonable, right? So it doesn't matter if I could have tasered her instead or pepper sprayed her. I could have punched her in the face. The officer could do all these things, but he chose to. He picked her up, obviously to be the least aggressive. Is he pick her up, kind of get her out of the way? She punched him in the face once, 2 times. At that point, he's like, "Fuck you!" You got to gain that. Just get that distance. I'm not going to sit there and hold somebody and let him punch me in the face. She obviously knows this is a cop. She's facing him. She's yelling at him to get the fuck off of her. She punches him in the face. He just slams her down. I don't have a problem with that. And so, what the way the department, as well as don't even start with the part, but as well as the criminal aspect, is they'll look at what's the use of force reasonable. Would an officer with similar time and training use the amount of force? And I've had 2 death threats this week from social media because on the Charlotte thing about trying to explain that particular, hey, well, I feel like you should be treating a girl like that. That's a child. You should be. I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, it just kind of state facts. I'm just saying, here are the facts. And they're like, they're threatening, they want to kill me. I'm like, all right, well, DM me. I'll give you my address if you want to. That didn't work out well for the last person who tried that. But people, they go with, you have to use facts. So the inside, I think we talked about this last week, is the department. So they don't want to riot. We talked about this. So like, hey, this is put him on admin leave, tell him we're doing a criminal investigation. And apparently even the higher ups, which it could go either way. They're like, oh, we don't think he did anything wrong, but we're going to make it look like we're going above and beyond once we talked about that too last week, when they do that, it makes things worse because now now it's a criminal investigation and now it opens you up for all this other stuff. And so it's in my opinion, and I'm a use of force expert, and I've been in hundreds of uses of force and reviewed hundreds.
And hold on, because I need you to also, this is where you need to also cite your resume. You were responsible for coming up with the use of force policy for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, were you not?
Yes, I was one of the, there were 2 to 3, I think there were 2 sergeants. There was a small group of people who started, and then it grew to a group of about 10 people toward the end. And we had training. They had me. 3 uses of force policies were changed because of my use of force in a good way to help officers, the way I articulated it. So this was in 2020. We came up with a new response to resistance policy for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, which is a huge. We had to look at department policies all over the nation and use verbiage and stuff. And it's basically smoke and mirrors. Response to resistance in 2020 sounds better than use of force. But basically, if you read it, cops don't like change. Oh, response to this is bullshit. But dude, it helped. It allowed us to use tasers a lot more often. It helped officers in almost every situation. There was nothing that was negative against officers. That it's a lot of that smoke and mirrors made people happy, the name and stuff. But the actual use of force policy, it took a couple months for us to all to get together and talk about it. We'd have meetings and talk about certain uses of force and what's reasonable, because some departments use verbiage with like the least amount of force possible, which is ridiculous. You can't say that because the least amount of force would be pulling her by.
It could be anything. It's so subjective.
And then you didn't use the least amount of force.
Well, what is the least amount of force? Because that's so subjective. But
then you have that doctor who's never been to use force. Like, well, he had other options. Well, you always have other options.
You let me handle Dr. Taylor. Let me handle Dr. Taylor.
That's one of your people, man.
Let me handle. First of all, let me say this. The reason why this topic is so important is because I posted something on Facebook where I said, if you train your kids not to be animals, if you raise your kid not to be animals and be degenerates and fight police officers and listen to people of authority, then your kids will not get body slammed. I said what the F I said, and people didn't like that. And to the people that don't like that, this is my thing here, because in the comments people was like, oh yeah, because police brutality has never been a thing. Even somebody that was a retired, well, not retired police, but I think he's still in the sheriff's department or something like that, he said this job has clearly got to you. First of all, I haven't done a job since 2019. I've been retired since 2019. I know it's a long time. I know I don't post my whole life on social media, but I'm retired. And second of all, the job has not gotten to me. The job did not get to me. What got to me is where the lack of accountability comes in for people that break the law, for people that do wrong. Let me tell you something. Use of force is not pretty. It will never be pretty. And to all the people that say, hey, that was a woman, I mean, that was a child, that was a female, something like that. Let me tell you something. I once arrested a woman that was 132 pounds. She kicked me in the nuts. She bit me. She spit in my face. She kicked me in the shin. She did a whole bunch of stuff. You know why? Because in my brain, as a man, I'm thinking this is a woman. I can't do this. I can't do that. And women have killed police officers.
Kids.
Women,
Old men,
kids
old ladies,
have killed
everybody.
police officers. Kids have shot police officers. Kids have stabbed police officers. So don't give me that. And I want to get into Dr. Taylor, because this is my problem with people like Dr. Taylor. I'm going to speak to you credentials to credentials. You're a doctor. I'm a doctor. But let me tell you something. Being a doctor doesn't mean anything if you're going to be disingenuous, or if you're going to let your agenda, or if you're going to let whatever type of power or influence you think you have succeed the facts, usurp the facts. Then we're going to have a problem. Then what's the point of even going to school? What's the point of doing research? What's the point of having the ability to reach people and to use your credentials if you're going to be disingenuous? Yes, there are 132 things, I'm exaggerating, you can do other than body slam somebody. But guess what? It's still a part of those 132 things that you can do. So did he or did he not work within the policy of the use of force? I'm here to tell you, yes, he did. He
I agree.
absolutely 100% did. The optics don't look good because nobody wants to see a child being slammed to the ground. But guess what? Nobody equally wants to see a police officer get killed, assaulted, or be punched in the face multiple times. And guess what? What about that child that was getting jumped? See, they didn't show that in the video. She was a part of a mob that was jumping another child, and that police officer was saving that child. But if that child's brain matter was all over the ground and all over the concrete, you'll want us to wear t-shirts, you'll want us to do candlelight visuals, and then you'll tell us how that was all the suspects were sweet children. They never did anybody, and they was changing their life around. All that stuff that the media's like to point out. So, Dr. Taylor, what you've been doing, we know what you've been doing. That's no different than any other grifter. You use your influence to quote unquote speak out on police officers, but what you're doing is you're empowering the community and the citizens to have no accountability over their actions. And real police officers are sick of it.
No, 100%. And two, the problem I have is that, like you said, a sellout. He goes to where the money's at. So he's like, well, there's no money justifying uses of force, right? So for the defense because they have their own use of force experts.
We know better than that.
So then they go, shit, all right, well, the defense will pay for you to say what a good use of force. So if he's entitled to his opinion, but if you have any credibility and I've seen him make horrific, like just it being like it's excessive because the officer cursed, or I mean, I'm like, what? Like, so I'll give you an example. One time, I was chasing a dude. It was an armed robbery suspect who fired shots. He thought he didn't get shot. He ended up dropping the gun, so I'm still chasing him. He's hands free. I tase him. I actually got a video. Maybe we'll watch it next week. I tase him. He goes down, and as actually one of the use of force they chase. Can you believe this is an armed robbery guy? 1043. What's the chase? They jump and run. We've been looking for these guys for a couple weeks. They've been doing takeover guns, shooting guns there. I'm actually on the way home. I hear the 43. Well, I'm not gonna miss out on a good chase, so I start heading to. It was in the district I lived in Independence, so I'm on the perimeter. The guy jumps and runs. I get the guy. We're chasing him, he's reaching his waistband. I'm like, "Oh, fucking shoot you! Put your fucking hands. Show me your fucking hands. I'll fucking shoot you!" And yelling, and we're running. And he falls down. He gets up. That's where he dropped the gun when he fell down. I didn't know at the time, but then I see his hands are free, so then I transition and tase him, and he falls down and busts his eye socket open. So good, go fuck himself, right? So, but basically, people, oh my God, that's excessive. He busted his head open. Not my problem. The problem is they don't look at what happens after. Was my taser? They tried to write me up for that because I cursed. They said it was a threat. I told them I'd shoot him in the fucking head.
That was a threat. That was a promise.
That's what I said. I was telling him what's about to happen if he pulls out a gun. He was reaching his waistband. He's already fired shots. It's a pretty high intense situation. But so the way they look at it is if I tase somebody and that taser deployment's justified and he falls and cracks his skull open, it doesn't make it the taser deployment unlawful use of force or excessive use of force because that use of force was reasonable. Which means it's if the guy falls and hits his head and cracks his skull open, that didn't turn it excessive because the force I used was taser was reasonable. Same thing in this. For him to pick her or throw her to the ground, right? To create distance, I threw her to the ground because I'm not getting taking hits in the face. And I told somebody same thing. If he would have grabbed her, she would have spit in his face. He would have been the same justified.
Let me ask you this real quick, Step. Why wasn't she brought up on charges? Assault on a police officer.
I hope she did. Did she not get charged? I don't know.
That part I don't know. But if I'm that officer to cover myself, I'm a victim too. I was assaulted.
I guarantee you they had a charge her after that shit. There's no way there. But then that use of force, I'll tell you where I tased the guy. They said that he was at that point, he dropped the gun, he was running away, and he was passive aggressive. And my taser deployment was excessive. I was like, what? You see
the reach that people go to protect optics?
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and the point I was actually talking to Putney one-on-one. It was me, Putney, and Brian, and 4 or 5 of us in there when we first started talking about the use of force and chase stuff. And Lieutenant Mitchell was like, another one of the STEP's policies. We call it the STEP policy because we changed 3 because that's when they changed. So I articulated, I said, K9 was tracking the guy. And Brian, Sergeant Russell was in there with K9. I'm like, I love our K9. I said, but they would eat his face off, and that's fine. But you're telling me if he's running from K9, they could eat his face off.
But I can't tase him.
I tase it. And oh, that's a good fucking point. Oh, let's change that. Like, no shit. So that was one of the 3 they changed in my use of force. So same thing with this. People, she got a head injury. I don't give a shit. That is irrelevant. So it's one thing if he threw off a balcony. Right, took her and threw her off. That would be if she had an injury. That would be looked at different. But if the use of force I use to create distance or
Step, what do they teach us in the academy? Don't they teach us takedowns?
Yeah.
So I'm confused. What was he supposed to do? Lift her up and say stop? Don't do that.
I don't care if it's a 13-year-old boy or it's one. You do look at the. Part of the use of force is you look at the capability of it, if it's a 90-year-old woman at Walker and she's
totally different.
But so someone that's 17, she assaults you. She's in the process of jumping,
swinging, she's beating up other people. I got news for you. Eye injuries happen, corneas get scratched, corneas get destroyed, orbital bones get destroyed. What happens if this officer? Okay, since we're playing hypotheticals, what happens if this officer gets a serious eye injury? He has to retire from the police department. What then? Nobody cares. That's the problem I have with this. Everybody is always looking for a way to make the suspect the victim. And I'm telling you, in this case, the suspect is not a victim. The suspect is a suspect, not only an assault on her peers, she has multiple assault on a police officer. Every hit to a police officer is an assault charge. And in the video, we saw 2 punches. That's two counts of assault against a police officer.
But he would have been totally justified, 17-year-old female or not, to punch her in the face.
Absolutely.
So that wouldn't look good either. But the thing is, and that would be just and I hate people that you never hit a woman. Not in the street. When you're a cop, some of the worst fights I've been in.
It's been domestic violence when you jump on a boyfriend
with women.
That the woman called on. I once got jumped on by a woman who called police on her boyfriend, and she's beat the shit. And she called for us, and as soon as we're trying to put hands on him, leave him alone. I just wanted y'all to scare him.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, if you play with these females or anybody else,
because they know that.
The first fight I got into with a female, I remember her name. Her last name was Stinson, and I was trying to be gentle and grab her and use soft hands to get her down. And she hit me in the face. You know how they hit. She hit me in the face, and I'm trying to. And they're all they're like this wiggly. You can't. And finally, I was just like, poof, poof. Had to treat her. You have to treat them like a big, because not you get hurt. If women carry razor blades, they do. They get
scratch. They have long nails. Like this stuff. I'm telling you, it is not a game in these streets. And I'm you know what? I'm not sorry, but let me tell you something. I will say it again. Raise your children to act like they should act. I don't even know what that means, but because if the parents are acting a certain way, they can't even raise the children. But raise your children to not act like animals. I can't put it any other way. You know what? I'm not sorry about it. It is what it is. I raised my kids to know how to act. I raised my kids that if you encounter a police officer, yes, officer, no, officer, do whatever it takes. Let's say even if you get arrested, even if they lock you up, whatever the case may be, do that. And I will deal with that police officer. You don't fight. You don't argue. You don't run. You don't do anything. You do whatever you have to do to bring your ass home safely. And I will deal with the police department. I will deal with that police officer. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It's just crazy. But that officer, I hope that nothing happens. I hope this dog and pony show ends really soon, because that's all it is. You already said from inside sources, they know that it was justified. It was justified all the way through, but because they're scared of a possible riot, you got Ben Crump, the race peddler himself. He put this post on Facebook, so you know once Ben Crump is in charge, there's possibly money in charge, and I hope that they don't cave. But knowing how CMPD is, knowing how blue this city is, knowing how liberal this city is, they're absolutely going to cape, and they're going to cave, and they're going to bend the knee, and then all of this is going to be for naught. So with that being said, we'll be back after this commercial break.
I know. You're probably wondering what's going on. Well, I'm here to tell you. It's me, Inked, and I need you guys to head on over to ajsrantroom.com and pick up your Trifecta merch. Yes, that's right. Trifecta merch is here. It is here for our Trifecta family to show their love and support and advertise for free. Well, not technically for free. You did pay for it. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Head on over to ajsrantroom.com and pick up your Trifecta merch. We're all inclusive. If Prince can wear it, so can you. Have a good one.
All right. So, we're going to talk about this next one, Step. And this is a person that you and I both, we've agreed with him on some things, we disagree with him on some things. But Dominic Izzo, he's a prominent influencer on social media. He's an ex-cop. I still can't see if he's retired or not, but he's an ex-police officer, BJJ, super blue belt, brown belt, all that good stuff. He lifts weights, all this good stuff. But he's made his platform on pointing out the bad stuff behind the badge, and when police officers do wrong stuff. Some stuff I agree with him, some stuff I don't agree with him. But one of the things that kind of gives me bad vibes about this dude is, like, if you push back on him about anything, he gets personal. The insults come in. Really, to me personally, he's a bully. That's just me. But I got a video on where he critiqued. He has this big stance where he doesn't believe women should be police officers. That's his stance. He's been strong on it. He does not believe women should be police officers. I want to show you this video where somebody sent him a video of a woman police officer, and I want you to see where he starts saying stuff that I agree with, and then he shows you a glimpse into what he really how he really feels on certain issues. Take a listen, and we're going to pause and break down certain stuff that he says in the video as it goes along. So take a listen.
My DMs have been absolutely flooded with this video from people. Just everyone sending me, because they know my disdain for female cops, right? You guys know how much that I am not in support any way, shape, or form of female cops. So of course you sent me this video. And for those who haven't seen it, here's the video.
Cool bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? Or what you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that.
Now, first, what you saw was the police officer was coming to back up another female police officer, and she tripped, and she got back up, and she got there, and she got back into the fight.
You chuck it on this one, you chuck it on your mother, and you chuck it on your father, you chuck it on your brother, and you chuck it on your sister, you chuck it on that one, and you chuck it on me.
We are so going to get a copyright strike because of this damn bad boys. But listen, it's for educational purposes only.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys.
As you can see, the taser is out right there, Step. So she's in between putting the taser down and getting control of the suspect, or tasing the suspect, or leaving the taser down and leaving it exposed for somebody. So she's stuck.
Look how she's holding the taser.
Yeah, pointing towards the ground. What did he always tell us? Don't use your gun or your taser as a cane.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys.
She's getting on her radio. She's trying to figure it out.
What you gonna do when they come for you?
So let's fast forward a little bit.
What you gonna do?
There's a lot of physical ability they just can't do.
Hold on.
I do believe there's some emotion.
Bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Yeah, that's a big girl. Look, it's a big woman.
So by now, if you know my content, you know that it's a generalization. I don't think females should be cops whatsoever for a lot of different reasons.
Okay, why is it still playing the music?
Number one, I think that
Here we
there's
go.
sexuality that sells makes them targets by both the department and the citizens on the street. I think that there's a lot of physical ability they just can't do. I do believe there's some emotional ability, considering the fact that their brains are ruled by hormones, and every 28 days they have a cycle that affects their judgment. And I don't think that's fair that you, the citizen, come across a woman who's having a bad day and on a period, and then she's going to be able to arrest you and charge you for something that somebody else would go, no, this doesn't make sense.
All right, Step, let's break that part down. And we gotta be real on this show, because that's what we do. Do you believe that females should be police officers?
No, absolutely. I think there's a place for them. The problem is, like I get it. This looks kind of sloppy. If she did fall, any of us could fall. I can tell you that the majority of women police officers are not. I don't have confidence in them when shit hits the fan, for the most part. There are exceptions to the rule, right? Obviously, but there's also, I think per capita, there's a lot more females that are police officers that should be police officers than males. There's a lot of shitty males we have, but I think a lot of the females that are cops are nice ladies and stuff. They're good, sexual assault detectives and stuff. But if going out here and shaking bushes and doing this other stuff and fighting, they just don't have it. They don't have the physical strength. A lot of them don't care about training experience, about getting that and learn how to fight. Some of them do, but that's why we got squared away girls that are on SWAT team, that are pretty squared away. But for the most part, I say 1 in 10 are decent.
This is my thing here. If women can pass the physical fitness test and they can pass the necessary test and they can pass the training, yeah, be police officers. Fine. Okay, whatever. But the moment you show that you don't have it or you can't do your basic duties like respond, use of force, you can't fire. We just remember we showed a video last week where it was time for her to use force and she was crying. She fell back and she was crying.
Or they fall down and then don't get up and lay
And
there.
don't
See,
get
that's
up.
what-
You're done. And
Yeah.
and that's the part. It's no different from in our recruitment class. We had a male who he kept not engaging. He was scared. They kicked his ass up out of there.
But they won't do that. But they won't do that to the females who want to engage.
No,
That's the problem.
and that's the problem. It is a double standard. So I'm not extreme like him where women should not be police officers, and I damn sure ain't about to talk about menstrual cycles and all that stuff, because guess what, men are emotional. You don't think I was ever pissed off on a Sunday after the Eagles lost and now I gotta go do patrol? Shit, I'm pissed.
Somebody wearing a New York Giants hat or something.
I see a Dallas decal on somebody's car, I'm pissed. You don't think men have a bad day? You don't think men get into it with their wives and then come to work? I mean, so his whole thing about emotions and stuff like that, men have emotions too. So let's not, and I think that's a lazy ass trope to use the menstrual cycle and all that shit. I just think he's wrong in that aspect.
I think so. I wouldn't say that women do not need to be police officers. I'll just say that they need to be held to the same standard, and we need to have stricter. Not
correct. Now that's right. Be equal. Be the same. Listen, if men got to do 45 push-ups, you got to do 45 push-ups.
Do you know what's funny though? Is when I first started in '99 at the sheriff's department up in the mountains, the women were not allowed to be on patrol. We had one female deputy, and she was a sexual assault detective.
Oh, I was about to say what?
Yeah,
she was sexual. What?
But the sheriff. Of course, it was dude. They're 20 years behind. I mean, they didn't have policy. It was just old school. But yeah, he wouldn't. Of course, I'm sure you get sued if you try that shit now. But he wouldn't allow female. There was but to say that no, they don't. I mean, I worked with great cops. Like I've said, yeah. My friend Jean was a great cop. You know, she medically retired. She was always there and had the perspective.
I was on calls with Jean before, so yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, she's good. And then you have I've worked with girls that are squared away tactically and go hands on. And
my homie Fogey is one.
Fogey's a good, yeah, exactly.
A lot of them. A lot of them. I've worked with a lot. I've once had a call. I was on a DV call, and I was doing a report, and this female officer was off duty at a club, and the person took off, and she said headquarters got one running. I start to go into my I start to get into my car, and next thing I know, 5 seconds on the radio, headquarters, I got him 72. Little did he know that she was an All-American track star in college. So
get away.
You have phenomenal female officers that could do things. Now I do admit there are some out there that, like, I don't know if they thought it looked cute on TV and then they be it. You as a department, you have to wean those out. But to say that women just should not be police officers, I don't agree with that aspect. But I do want to keep going on to this video, because then he goes on to say other stuff that I'm like, where are you going with this?
And then the use of force issue. Well, the weaker, so the candidate that we bring on the street that can say I was in great fear for my safety, which is more women than men.
See, this is where I break it down on an academic level. What he just did, if I was to do that in a paper, in a dissertation, you know what they would say? Cite your source. Where does it say that more women use of force than men? That's why I got those 2 letters right there that says doctor, and I know better than to just say something flat out like that and not have a source.
And I can tell you through experience, they don't. I mean, I probably had 20
he pulled that out his ass, but because he's a male, he's macho, he's machismo, and he has a following, people are not going to just try to look that up. They're just going to believe what he says.
And just because he's like, oh, they say I'm scared of my life, just because you have to have an articulable, reasonable fear for your life. Like people that think, oh, if I could say, oh, I'm in fear for my life, I can shoot that person. Oh, I was in fear for my life.
That
Oh,
shit don't fly.
No, you have to have a articulable, reasonable fear. Like you have to be articulate it, and it has to be a reasonable fear. You can't be like, well,
I was scared.
So
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm scared of rodents. That don't mean I could just shoot people.
In a use of force situation, you can use your size and ability. Like, if this is a female and she's 5'4", going up against a guy who's 6'4", she could use a higher level of force, than I might be able to. But that's because she can't defend herself against somebody that big. But that's the only time that stuff like being a female or bigger comes into play.
Yeah.
Have a higher threshold of being able to use their pistol quicker than males do. And I think that's extremely dangerous. So
I think it's extremely dangerous that you're saying stuff without sources. You're saying stuff as if they're facts. And I'm saying that as a doctor. If I say something, y'all have absolutely every right to be like, cite your source. Where did you get that from? Is that from your training experience? Is that your opinion? Is that from a published article? See, there's levels to this. See, I did it on the street and then I did it academically. And now I know that you can't be out here recklessly giving out information, wrong information, bad data, bad statistics, and not stating that it is in fact your opinion.
that's my generalization why females should not be street cops.
So you generalize something off of your opinion or data. If it's your opinion, fine. You can never be wrong in an opinion, but you could be wrong in a fact. I always say that. Your opinion is your opinion. Nobody can tell you you're wrong. But if you say something as a fact, people can look that up and be like, you're wrong.
But other than that, I had to go to the comment section. Of course, it didn't disappoint.
Now, these
were just a few of my favorite comments from people who know better, right? E-Wallet too fat. Yeah, they fucked their way to pass the academy.
Now, that part, he got personal. So I can understand why he's going at this guy.
My guy, your face looks like it's fucking its way through life and hanging on by a thread. Leo Sosa, 930. She unfit for the job, stumbling on herself. My dude, which one of your chromosomes is stumbling all over itself and hanging by a thread to prevent you from being a fucking Down syndrome? And, of course, it wouldn't be the internet unless you had women criticizing other women, right? So we got Gail Toba, who makes fun of a cop for tripping and falling, and she says, the hairstyle and makeup were almost ruined. And then just one look at your double axe handle size ass, and we know one of two things is true. Either A, Gail, you're terrified of treadmills, or B, your husband is black.
Let me have this, please. This is why I say he's a bully. I don't give a Mom, you still here? She probably is. I don't give a rat's you know what that BJJ and you can bench press a Buick and all that stuff. What you just said about this woman is completely uncalled for, and it just shows how insecure you are as a short, fat midget. Mm-hmm. I noticed that in a lot of your posts, you talk about how you used to use PEDs and you use testosterone and all that stuff. Maybe that's going to your brain, Dominic. See, this is the thing. I'm not scared of you. I don't care about BJJ or none of that shit. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is you are actively out here being a bully. You built your platform and now you're being a bully. And first of all, there's nothing wrong with that woman. So your body standards of what a woman is skewed. There's nothing wrong with that woman. And she's in her wedding dress. And this is how I know. See, this is how, when I don't like using the word racist, but this is how I know a bigot knows a bigot. This is how I know you're a bigot. Because why? Because you think that this woman has a little more heft. She's quote unquote plus size. Why do you assume that her husband is black? Where did you get that black men quote unquote like obese women? Like obese white women? See, this is the thing. You let people talk long enough, they tell on themselves. But you know what? This is the person that has all these. This is not about hating. This is the person that has all the viewers, all the follow, all the viral, all the success. These are the people that you prop up. Meanwhile, you got a retired sergeant down there that's the CEO of his own company that is very successful in and outside of police department. You have a doctor that is talking to you right now that was successful in and out of the police department. I have a degree at the highest level, and I also did it the same as you. And I'm not out here being reckless, but you're out here being a bigot. You're being a phony. You're being disingenuous. Why? Because you can lift, because you can wrestle, and because you used to be a police officer, and because you have a couple of followers. I guarantee you, if you was to say what you just said to the right black person, you will have to test every bit of that BJJ background that you have. Go ahead, Step.
Well, the problem I have is, so this don't get personal. Why can he have an opinion on it? There should be women in law enforcement and make fun of them, but if someone else makes fun of them, then he attacks them. And I think it's an insecurity if you go after someone's physical features.
Step, all she said real quick, all she said was the hairstyle and makeup were almost ruined. Like making a joke, like she fell, and it's play on it being a female officer, like, oh, now her hair and makeup is messed up. And he went to her weight.
Yeah, I mean that is the bully mentality. Like you don't attack people for it.
He had a badge. And I guarantee you, Step, you know this as much as I do. The badge enhances who you really are. When you put on that uniform, who you are at your core, that's what the badge does. So if you're tempered, if you have a temperament, if you have if you're reasonable, if you're a funny person, it's going to enhance that. I was a bigger clown and comedian when I had my badge on. That's why I didn't get into a lot of stuff, because I had a lot of jokes and people would be like, hey, yo, you cool. Hey, yo, that's funny. Yeah. Hey, yo, you wild. Or whatever the case may be. The fact that he has this type of behavior, I can only imagine how that badge made him feel.
Yeah, it's kind of contradicts himself, because he'll criticize people, and then if they criticize the same people he's criticizing, then he attacks them, and then he's like, I don't know, like he worked at a township, was it Pennsylvania or somewhere, like what a huge spot, that maybe like 2015, 20. I mean,
it wasn't Charlotte. It wasn't NYPD. It wasn't Philadelphia. It wasn't LA. It wasn't Baltimore.
And respect goes out to those people too. But the problem is, you got a different perspective, because what we deal with in a week, some of those departments, it would take a year, 2 years. Sometimes they never. Some departments would do more violent crime in a week than they do their entire career. I talked to a guy earlier who he said his granddad was a cop and arrested 485 people and never pulled his gun. I'm like, wow. Well, I mean, yeah, but I'm like, shit. Where
you and I both have fired our guns, shot people,
and every shift I mean, I'm not exaggerating. There'll be sometimes in like 8-10 times a shift, we got people at gunpoint doing felony stops or do stuff like. But the thing is, he's entitled to his opinion if he wants to be. But the thing is, I got in this profession, and I looked at my job as being a police officer. People ask, why'd you want to be, a cop? I wanted to be the person in my entire life, from the time I was in middle school to the time I became a police officer. I always was the guy that took up for people getting bullied. And I looked at my role as a police officer to do the same thing. My job is to stand between the person that's getting bullied, the bad guy, and the person who can't protect themselves. So what you do when you start acting like this is you're putting you're becoming the bully.
That's exactly what he is. He's a social media bully, and he's done this to other people. He's done this to.
He said stuff about their people's wives, and I mean, he gets really, really personal.
He gets really, really personal, and you know why? Because he feels like, I have this blue belt, whatever it is. I can bitch press up you and all this stuff. So if somebody was to say something to me, it's nothing they could do. That's textbook bully. Yeah. Bullies pick on people that they know can't respond or won't respond. Yeah, a real man picks on somebody that there's a chance that he might get his shit cleaned early.
Yeah. I mean, I'm perfectly fine with if you attack what someone says. Not even that. I'm all about freedom of expression and different opinions, but we could have a debate about what people say. But I would never. If someone says something I didn't like, I would be like, "Well, you're ugly." I mean, what do they say?
You Nazi motherfucker.
We've heard it all the time.
I've heard it all.
Big nose motherfucker. I'm like, all right. Well, I mean, it is, but I'm secure enough to not let that bother me.
I was told on shift by the same female that kicked me, scratched me, punched me, spit in my face, that she was gonna get her MS-13 brother to rape my family and my children. Guess what? I'm a police officer. I have to do what I have to do. When it was time to, my payback was when all her charges was read, and she didn't know that I was just I just played my video back. That's 1 count of threats, 2 counts of threats. Boom, 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 boom. When her charge was read, she looked at me like, "What is this?" And that was my get back. You have ways to get your point across without being a bully. And to me, Dominic Izzo, he's a bully. Like I said, I don't disagree with him on everything, but one thing I am going to stand on, and I don't need a periodic article because this is my opinion and you can't be wrong in an opinion. You are a bully. You are a bona fide bully, and you are what's wrong with these quote unquote influencers that point out the bad things about the badge. You just show why the badge on certain people is wrong. Why it gives you a sense of entitlement to be completely disrespectful and to get personal with people. You seem like the type of person that if you didn't like what somebody said, you would definitely look them up on Facebook. You would look up their address. You would see how they live, and you will post something online through a burner account. That's what I get about somebody like this.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, look at him. I mean,
Let me look at him.
he's just,
I don't
he
want to
looks-
look at him.
But
He's like 5'4". He has a barrel chest, and it's. I don't know why short people have this Napoleon complex. That's something that really needs to be studied.
I mean, I'm pretty confident. I think I'm a decent looking dude, but I'm not like you. You have to be. What I'm saying, I'm not looking at him like making fun of him. Like he's nothing. Like he's at average at best. And I did post. He was post a video of him bench pressing like 305 or 315, and I posted nice warm up or something. Being funny, he didn't respond. But just to kind of like like you're posting like you're okay, like if you're 300 pounds and benching your body weight. I don't know.
Right. I mean, it's scientific studies that say if you're a certain weight, you're supposed to be able to bench that or above that. But we're not going to get into that. But my thing is this, Step, and I really mean it's like, you see how as he kept talking, he just told on himself. Once he said this either means that you're this or that your husband is black. What's wrong with her husband being black? Like it's like, and these are the people, I promise you, these are the people that you work next to, and then they finally show you who they are. But guess what? You still have to save their life. You still have to respond if they need help. But you just figure out, far as outside of work or anything, you will never get my time of day. And Dominic Izzo, like, you know what? I was about to say a bad word, but you and platforms like yours is the reason why people feel the way that they feel about police. And you give people who hate police a reason to hate them more, because they're not looking at facts. They're looking at emotions, and they're saying, well, a person that used to be one of y'all says this is bad, so all this is bad. And that's not the context that you should be using, and it's very dangerous.
It reminds me of what mom was like, but my mom would be like, well, they say the it's gonna be dangerous to go across a mountain tonight where it's snow. I'm like, who said that?
Who's they?
They like anytime she didn't want me to do something, although they say that's not like
They say that's not good. Who's they?
Yeah.
They say don't split the pole is bad luck. Who is they? Who is they? They say don't go out in the cold without a coat. You'll catch a cold. Where's the scientific studies? Show me the receipts. They say that if you they say that you don't have to show police your ID. Who is they?
Yeah.
They say that you don't have to give police your information. Who is they?
Yeah.
Y'all better stop listening to they. The ground,
the same people
and the jails are full of people who listen to they.
The same people who were like, I I know my rights. The same people who told them what their rights are the ones who are like, what?
Step, the same people that say they know their rights, when we tell them they have the right to remain silent, what don't they do?
Actually, if you want them to talk, that's probably what you want to tell them.
Correct. But
like, you can't tell me.
But when we read them their rights, what do?
They start talking. But
they start talking.
Do you know what's funny is like I don't know how many times like, look, you have the right to remain silent. I would use it. Like, shut up. Like, you know, like
I stop talking. I don't want to write all this. Shut up.
Just like so Weaver commented he was one of my guys. He was he's probably I'm sure Weaver follows that dude because they're jiu-jitsus. How do you say jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsus. They like to wrestle. But listen, Step, how many times did all you had to do was just turn over your car, your MVR footage or your body cam footage to a defense attorney because their client he had diarrhea at the mouth?
Absolutely.
That's all you have to do. Like, you don't have to do anything. But these are the same people that wants to tell us that we used the Force wrong, that we Star Wars did wrong, that we should have shot him in the leg. These are the people that wants to tell you how to do your job, and they don't even know they have the basic right to remain silent, the basic right to STFU.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. That's it. So, with that being said, man, the hour went by so fast, man. Thank y'all for listening. I hope between me yelling, I'll be trying not to yell, man. I'll be listening back to some of those.
Get emotional.
I'll be like, why am I yelling so much? But I just can't help it. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on yelling. But thank you everybody for listening. Again, make sure you check out at Black and Blue Lives. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. My social media handle right here is at Real Prince Blue. His is on Instagram is Step2223, and on TikTok is TOG4280. Thank you everybody. Thank you everybody for listening to us, and we appreciate you. Please make sure you keep sending us videos to break down. And also, you know, our show is rooted in mental health, so make sure you check on everybody. Make sure you check on your friends, make sure you check on your family, make sure you check on your loved ones. And if somebody reaches out for help, if you don't know how to give them help, just give them the resources. Shoot them a link to a therapist. Give them a hotline number. It takes nothing, y'all, to make sure that you can do everything that you can to save a life. So with that being said, we appreciate you. I am Dr. Prince Blue. He is Step. We will see y'all next Wednesday. And with that being said, we are out.
Yeah. Look, Black and Blue Lives. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, Black and Blue Lives. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, podcast lit. I think we got a hit. Yeah. Hey, Black and Blue Lives. Yeah. Look, we got Prince Blue and Steph talking Black and Blue.